Prince Daemon, I bring word from His Grace Viserys Targaryen, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms and Protector of the Realm.
You have not seen what I have seen.
A few moments later.
It's actually revolting in a lot of ways, the way the media shields Hollywood and themselves really from criticism by using minorities. That's, I mean, I should just say marginalized people, I should say. It's just a tactic they've been using for many years now. They've been pressing and saying this group of people you can't criticize unless you're a part of that group. And then if you're a part of that group, you also have to have the right political affiliation to criticize that group. Otherwise, we're going to say that you're clearly against that group of people. You can't criticize the actions of a black individual as a white person without being called racist. You can't criticize the actions of somebody who is gay without being called homophobic. This is the rules that the media has set. We didn't set these rules. They set these rules. Once they had these rules in place, then they used it as a shield to protect themselves from any and all criticism. And that's exactly what they're doing with the Rings of Power. And it's actually disgusting. I'm going to prove to you that they're lying about it on top of that. Over the weekend, we saw some articles come out. Women's stories in Rings of Power take center stage. Also, I want to talk about Amazon basically doing exactly what I said they would. Like exactly what I said they would when it comes to releasing their reviews. Remember the last video I did saying that they were going to pick a score, 3.6, 3.7, and then just keep releasing batches of reviews to keep the score, to keep the review at that level? That's exactly what they've done. I'm going to show you that too. If you haven't yet, leave a like on the video, and please click that red subscribe button down below. It's a big moment for fans of high fantasy with several high-profile TV shows out right now, as many fans have grown accustomed to seeing women as secondary characters, and they have, debased, effectively treated like wallpaper. Some of us who've been waiting for the new Lord of the Rings prequel have been excited, but also a little nervous. The first few episodes of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power out now on Prime, and the series kicks off from a different perspective. Really, I feel like there were plenty of strong female characters in one of the biggest TV shows of all time, Game of Thrones, but I guess this is also part of the media who says like every woman who's ever done anything is the first woman who's ever done it. Even if there was a woman that did it like 3 months before, it's still the first time it's ever happened in history, and it must be celebrated as such. You have Morfred Clark, which, by the way, no disrespect to Morfred. I don't think that, she's just doing what she's told. And I think that that's important. And I know my fellow YouTubers feel the same way. Like, these are just actors. If they come out and say something like directly at the fans, then you can criticize them for the thing that they said or did. But if it's just like, oh, I don't like this character, it's generally not that closely tied to the actor. And you could argue that maybe Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, it's hard to separate the two, but people really should. And you have this, oh, we have strong independent women. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. I want to go to, because I can't bury the lead here. People don't like Morfred. People don't like Galadriel, right? They're picking up on this. She's a Karen and a Mary Sue at the very same time in many ways. Now, Tolkien, it's actually amazing that they've pulled this off, because Tolkien has said that, this particular character, that Galadriel is super powerful. And so people shouldn't be like that surprised. But somehow it just comes across as like a little too much. So people aren't liking the character Galadriel. So what does the mainstream media do? They push out this fluff piece and they say, Rings of Power star Morfred Clark on how humility will play a big part in Galadriel's evolution. Well, we've already seen 3 full episodes and seen zero humility. Zero. Z-E-R-O humility. Okay? So I don't really know when that's going to happen, but it sure better happen soon, because outside of pundits like myself, and people who are fans of the original trilogy consuming, criticisms about this, you're going to start to lose viewership pretty quick. And I've often said that I do want this show to be good. And maybe after 5 seasons, we'll look back and say, ooh, what an amazing show. But that first season was a little rocky. I really hope that that's the case because Tolkien fans deserve something amazing. I feel the exact same way when you talk about Star Wars. I think basically Rogue One and Season 1 of The Mandalorian are the only thing that Disney has done right with the Star Wars license. I suppose I haven't seen every little thing they've done, so perhaps I've missed it. But you can't always rely on the media. Here, look at related stories. Rings of Power cast slams racist threats against performers. Show me one. They lied. They lied about it. So they're out here saying, well, the main character, the character we're shoving in your faces as the savior of Middle-earth, you don't like her, but trust us, we're going to fix her. What don't you like about her humility? Oh, yeah, she's definitely going to get some humble pie. Okay, well, you've already finished season 1, so I'm not sure where it's coming. And then you have this article, of course, the day before. I'm saying they're not... Look, are there people out there that made a joke or a meme or something about Black Elves and Don Lemon or whatever? Okay. I don't think that you could qualify that as a threat. This is the word that they are using, that they were threatened over the color of their skin. Do you think the Hollywood Reporter includes literally any evidence? No, they didn't. And I'm going to tell you exactly why that is. It's because The Rings of Power is a mid at best show. Now, maybe it gets better, maybe it gets worse, but it's mid at best. And so what does Hollywood do every time they pour a bunch of money into a program that's mid? They start attacking the fans and they say, oh, well, you just don't like it because of Morfydd Clark. You just don't like it because Galadriel's strong, independent women who don't need no man. You just don't like it because we have Don Lemon playing an elf. You just don't like it because you don't like people of color. Okay, well, all of these things, every single one of them exist in a show that is competing, essentially, and it releases at the exact same time, and it's called The House of the Dragon. People keep telling me the show is great. I only have so much time, and I have to consume so much bad programming. I'm going to watch it, get more in depth at some point here. This is a show that has plenty of representation, plenty of strong, independent women who don't need no man, right? 85. IMDb. It actually has a higher user review on IMDb than it does on Rotten Tomatoes at 8.8. So am I supposed to believe because The Rings of Power has a bad critic score on both IMDb and on Rotten Tomatoes, about 39%, right? Embarrassing. What are just the racists and the people that have a problem with strong female characters? They're not watching Rings of Power, or they're only watching Rings of Power. They're not watching House of the Dragon. No, it's because they're lying. 111,000 ratings on IMDb for House of the Dragon, okay? Rings of Power has 147,000 ratings. So 30,000 more ratings. I'd say that's reasonable given it has 25 million viewers according to Amazon, right? 6.9. It's actually come up. A 6.9 is probably that's probably too high. But I'm saying this show is mid, all right? And House of the Dragon is S tier, according to what people are saying. People I trust are saying, okay? It's all baloney, and it's despicable, and it's revolting. The fact that you would take an issue, it's just like the race hoaxers, right? Or like the AHs out there, the fake, the people that cry wolf. You do nothing but damage to actual people on the receiving end of this type of bad behavior. And you end up with a situation where nobody can trust future people going forward. Now when shows come out, and maybe there'll be like some legitimate complaints about, having people have bad takes based on the race of certain characters or something like that. Like, am I going to believe you? You all said, the original Lord of the Rings cast came out to co-sign it. Elijah Wood. Yes. Oh, yes. This is definitely happening. Okay. Can you show me any examples? Here's the real reason. Now you're seeing the articles are starting to turn. Here's one by Danny DiPlacido. Why House of the Dragon is superior to the Rings of Power. How about this one? By Eric Kane. Amazon's The Rings of Power is playing fast and loose with the Middle-earth's Second Age timeline. There are just many articles now that are coming out that are just saying, hey, Rings of Power just isn't that good. It just isn't that good. And again, it's paying fast. Again, people that know Tolkien know Tolkien. And so if you're going to be taking so many liberties left and right, they're going to call it out. Now, I am a Tolkien normie. So you could change subtle things here and there, and it's not going to offend me on a personal level. I'm not even going to notice it. But millions of people will. 5 million, I would say, of the 25 million are probably Tolkien superfans that are noticing every little thing. Maybe more. Maybe it's 10 million who've read all the books, who have understand everything like that. The timeline is getting torn apart. You see, like, the timeline is perhaps the biggest problem. It's a kind of a head scratcher. The First Age ended with the defeat of Morgoth, but this would have been thousands of years in the past at this point, and very few people even remember there was a Morgoth, let alone the existence of Sauron. And yet commoners in the Southlands bring up Morgoth like the war was fought yesterday. This leads to other awkward moments. In episode 3, Galadriel and Elendil travel to the Hall of Law, an ancient Númenórean library, where they discover Sauron's mark is actually a map of the Southlands. There is an old document they handily discover almost instantly that has a map of some writing of the black speech of the enemy. Galadriel reads it. It sparks not only of a place, but a plan in which to create a realm of their own where evil will not only endure but thrive, a plan to be enacted in the event of Morgoth's defeat by his successor. Galadriel, Elendil asks. Matters are worse than I expected, she replies breathlessly. Then the Southlands are in grave danger. If Sauron is indeed returned, Galadriel says, pausing for dramatic effect, the Southlands are but the beginning. Cue dramatic music. The scene was painful to watch, just deeply cringy in the worst way. Did the Black Speech Note really say that the plan was to create a realm where evil could not only endure but thrive? Is that how Sauron and his orcs and lieutenants speak to one another while twirling their villain mustaches? What's your diabolical plan, Lord Sauron? Should Morgoth be defeated, that is? We will create a realm. An evil realm? Yes, a very evil realm. Where all our evil wickedness can endure. Not just endure, you fool, but be a realm where evil will thrive. Wahahaha. Oh, I love it, Sauron. So diabolical, so despicable. I mean, like, he's right. Eric gets it right far more than he gets it wrong. Or like, I agree with Eric far more than I disagree with him. And this is a perfect example. The media's starting to turn on Rings of Power because they're just realizing the show is not very good. They've got a lot of ground to make up. Let's see if $1 billion can do it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like on it. And please subscribe down below. And we'll talk to you again real soon.